Welcome to the Blue Collar Startup, the podcast where hard work meets big ideas. This is your home for real talk, real stories, and real strategies from the front lines of life in the business of the trades. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media.
And I'm your co-host, Derek Foster from Degan Cleaning Systems.
Yeah, you are.
Let's get to work.
Let's get to work. What's up, D? How we doing, man?
I'm good. It's feels like wintertime again here in upstate New York. We were just talking about how it was so nice last week, and here we are. But just continuing the push. We're fortunate to be super busy on our end, and a little marketing event that I went to, a networking event, the Albany Business Review. Shout out to those guys. They had a breakfast where they brought together a bunch of leaders from local schools and universities, and it was a really good event. So met some good people there. We had Scrubby the robot out running around, so
Nice.
turned some heads. Yeah, it was good. So just super busy, man. How about on your end?
Yeah, same. We're trying to turn the aircraft carrier right now, which is a long, slow turn, it feels like. But just AI integration and everything that we're doing right now, and it's really, as we've talked before on the show, it's changing things very quickly. And, just last week, Anthropic came out with an integration with Canva, so now you can prompt through Claude and design through Canva, and it all happens with the strokes of a key, and which again is going to continue to pummel the graphic design portion of what we do. But we got a good plan, and we're fighting through it. So it's exciting, and
I don't know how you keep up with all of it. There's so many changes going on. So I give you a lot of credit, and I know your team's doing a fantastic job with staying up to date with all of that.
It's pretty wild. I can tell you without an exaggeration, I'm reading for 2 hours a day, every day. Different emails, newsletters, online, like just trying to keep up with it all and make sure that we're keeping our clients in the best place possible with all the changes, so they're not wasting money on strategies that just aren't working. So,
well, I don't know if you heard it. It's just impressive. There was a half marathon. I believe it was a Beijing, and a robot ran the entire race and completed it in 50 minutes and broke the world record. So
crushed it.
Interesting stuff.
Crushed it. I just hope I never have to outrun any robots, Derek. Except for maybe Violet.
If one chases you, what do? You can't outrun it. So
I don't. Hopefully, no one ever has to find that out. Well, let's get to our guest here, man. I'm very excited about our guest today, and I'll just we put together a quick intro. Hopefully, it's accurate. Denver Whetten built Degan Construction from a concrete startup in 2007 into a self-performing industrial, municipal, and water contractor doing work for TSMC, Honeywell, and cities across Arizona. Nearly 2 decades of growth anchored in an echelon front leadership culture. He's a rare founder who will make a lot of money, which, by the way, I love this. He'll make a lot of money right on his mission statement and meant it as a people first thing. Welcome to the show, Denver.
All right, thanks. I'm glad to be here with y'all and excited for our conversation today.
Yeah. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but I really do love the fact of how you make a lot of money as a people first ideal, and throwing it right out there. I mean, obviously, businesses, we've got to make money to keep the machine going. I love it. I can't wait to talk about it, man.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I know, and we should probably bring it up too, because I did ask before the show, and I just think it's an interesting piece of information for our listeners. Last week we had Scott Jr. on the show from SSL Plumbing, and they were talking about some of the similar things that we're going to talk about today, as far as the work that you guys are doing with Extreme Ownership, with the team at Echelon Front, but also the sidekick to it is that EOS, and I know we're not promoting EOS. We don't get any checks from EOS. They are feel free to send them if they would like to, but you talked a little bit about that. So can we just real quick just jump into the EOS stuff and how you use those two things in tandem? I know I'm jumping off the main question set, but
yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I actually know Scott Subnewski with SSLLC really well, and we've networked a lot through our echelon front stuff in leadership groups, and it was actually him that introduced us to EOS and got us started. We used the same implementer that he was using, and it's made a big difference for us as we've use the EOS tools in combination with the leadership stuff that we've learned from Echelon Front. Understanding the visionary role and the integrator role, and has really helped the mental health of our team. Where we see that we're not crazy. We actually are wired differently, and there's a place for the visionary, and there's a place for the integrator.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild because I am constantly exposed to networking with organizations that use EOS as a business tool very effectively. And now more and more being exposed to teams that are using Echelon Front and the Extreme Ownership, which actually between preparing for this show and listening to some of the stuff that you've got out there on the internet with other podcasts and in writing and the episode last week, I started reading Extreme Ownership again over the weekend. So I'm excited diving back into that I think this might be the second time I've read it. And it's great stuff. So I'm looking forward to digging into some of that today with you. So let's get to the main question set here, guys. I think this is a really important question. We ask it quite often with people making the jump, right? From working somewhere into being their own person, doing their own thing. And I know that, you've told your founding story on a few other shows, and I didn't want to get too much back into that beat by beat, but the point of it all, and maybe talk a little bit about how you got started as well. So we're not completely, giving some exposure to that, but you left a steady corporate paycheck in early 2007 to start your company, which, that was a tough time for the economy, housing, construction, not exactly a booming market in a lot of places in the country. Take us inside the week before you gave your notice at the job that you had, right? That's that quote unquote safe paycheck. And what was the honest conversation that you were having with yourself, your family, and then of course the part that gets left out a lot is that first 90 days after you started your business and you no longer had the safety of a paycheck coming. You got a family, I'm assuming a mortgage, maybe a blank calendar, or maybe it was packed. I don't know. But what did those 3 months actually look like day to day for you?
It was honestly, it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
Kind of a scary time. I didn't really plan on making the jump. I didn't really plan on starting a construction company. It really wasn't something that was a vision of mine. I grew up on a cattle ranch. My dad was trying to convince me to go back to be part of the family business.
Yeah.
It just things just aligned where our team had performed very, very well the previous year, and then the economy changed, and there was some bureaucracy in the big corporate company I was working for that prevented me from being able to take care of my guys. I was able to find other work to keep them busy, and my bosses didn't want to do that. It didn't align with their objectives, and my boss called me into his office one day and said, "Hey, what you're doing to keep your guys busy and to get them to keep work for them doesn't work for us." I had found work within our own company, working for our land development company, doing sidewalks and curb and gutter and catch basins and that kind of stuff. Our division was supposed to do house slabs, The land development department wasn't compensating our house lab department for the work that we were doing. And he said, you got to lay everybody off. And I was really close to my guys. They had busted their butts. They were super loyal. They were very hard workers. They had innovated and adapted to do a different type of work that they weren't used to doing. And just right there, it was kind of an emotional reaction. But I put my keys and my phone on his desk and I said, you go lay them off. I don't work here anymore. And I didn't really have a plan. I wasn't anticipating starting my own company. And when I went back to tell my people that I had quit, I'd actually called one of my superintendents to come pick me up because I left my truck there at the yard. He came and picked me up, and we went back to our offsite office and not really knowing what we were going to do. Talked to my friend that was the land development guy that hooked us up with some work and said, hey, we're not going to do your work anymore. Your department's not paying my department for the work we're doing for you. And I just quit. And he's the one that said, well, what are you going to do now? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, I got some work. Looks like you're going to have some guys. And I said, I don't have any money. And it's like, I can't even, I wouldn't be able to do payroll and get all our tools and equipment and everything we would need. And we were able to work some stuff out where I could, invoice and get paid quickly to like start some cash flow. And that just kind of opened the door to the possibility. I went home that night, talked to my wife. She had some money squirreled away in a savings account that was her safety net. And we decided to take care of our guys and to go down that road of starting a construction company and trying to make a go of it, because I had a bunch of guys that I loved and I felt like if I had them on my team, we could make something happen. And those I started the first day with 10 guys. So
Wow.
so there wasn't a lot of extra time trying to figure out how to estimate, how to get the materials, how to set up accounts with vendors, how to plan the work, how to be the superintendent, the project manager, and get everything else done. Was a pretty busy time because we started out, kind of hitting the ground running.
Yeah. That's pretty wild, man, right? But, out of the frying pan into the fire, as they say, right?
Yeah.
How, Denver, one question that I have, and I went through it as well, but how did you handle those situations where you had no idea what that solution was going to be, and you kind of figure it out as you go along? How did you confront those situations and work through them?
I had a bunch of guys on my team that I trusted. So, we started a concrete company. I had about a year's worth of managing guys doing concrete, never actually done concrete myself. And so I trusted them on a lot of the technical stuff of figuring out like how we're going to do the different type of work. But then I went back to, the people we're working for and had great relationships with them and said, hey, you know what, I'm trying to figure this out. I don't really know what we're doing. I don't really know how to create a estimate for this type of work. I want to take care of you. I hope you can take care of me. Like how do we work together on this? And I got a lot of coaching and a lot of advice from the people we were working for that wanted us to be successful.
Very
That's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, that is super cool. That
Ask and you shall receive, right?
yeah, right? Like, and it's funny, not to go back an episode, but like Scott kind of had a similar thing where he just had good relationships with people and was basically asked for their help, and they were willing to do it. I think that's amazing.
he's the ultimate example of relationship building and networking. And, I look up to him and I call him for advice all the time on how to do a better job.
um, looking back at it, is there like advice that you would give to someone, a tradesperson with a young family, and they're thinking about making that leap? As you look at the way your situation unfolded, what would you tell someone in a similar situation or someone that's thinking about making that leap?
I think you have to step back and say, why do I want to do this? What's my why? And then really think about, is making this leap really going to help me accomplish that, or is it not? I think some people want to work for themselves because they want freedom, or because they want to make a ton of money, or because they just don't want to have a boss. But they don't realize the sacrifice that it's going to take to be able to make it work. And if you have the right why, then you're going to make it through all the hard times, and you're going to make it through the times when you want to give up and quit. You're gonna sacrifice, a lot of the things that you value a lot, in order to be able to, make it through and make it work at the end. And if you don't have the right why, you're not going to be willing to do that, and you're not going to make it.
Not as much freedom and not as much money, especially in the beginning, as people think, right?
Not at all.
Not at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go back to the make a lot of money. The mission statement that nobody else writes as honestly as you have. And it's one that I absolutely love it.
It's a great statement.
It really is. On your about page, your mission is 3 lines: grow and develop our people, make our customers love us, make a lot of money so everybody wins, right? Which, amazing. And most companies, like we said, they won't even they'll put the first 2 in a brochure, but that third one is only spoken internally, right, behind closed doors. But you got it right on the homepage. Why was it important to name the money part out loud, and how does that help to shape the culture on the job site for you?
Hey, everybody, just taking a quick break to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Curtis Lumber. Curtis Lumber is the professional's choice for home improvement. From windows and doors, roofing and siding, decks and building packages, to floors and more, trust the pros at Curtis Lumber for expert advice and daily delivery. For locations, visit curtislumber.com. That's curtislumber.com.
Why was it important to name the money part out loud, and how does that help to shape the culture on the job site for you?
Right. So our main mission is to grow and develop our people. That's why we exist, is so we can grow and develop our people. But sometimes people think that means that we exist so that they can be comfortable. And they start forgetting that, well, we actually have to make money for this to work. If we don't make money, then we're not going to be able to make our customers love us. We're not going to be able to grow and develop our people. And we've always been a very transparent, company with our people, and what our finances are and where we're at. And my purpose for starting Degan Construction and growing Degan Construction and keeping Degan Construction and not selling out. We got lots of people that are, wanting to see what my exit is, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to exit. Like, that's not why I started the company, is for me to make a lot of money. But I think having that on our mission statement, where everybody realizes that every person that works here has to provide value, and we have to learn how to provide more value all the time. And it's through providing that value that we're able to get compensated for the work that we're doing. And that needs to be a core focus for what we talk about and what we're doing. Are we making money? Do our customers love us? And that's the fuel that's going to help us be able to grow and develop our people. It's the fuel that's going to help us be able to have the safety and security of a job, to take care of our families, to be able to create a legacy for ourselves and for our families. And we can't forget that we got to have the fuel.
And money's the fuel,
It is.
right?
It is. Yeah. And you know, I mean, I'm not afraid to go tell my customer, hey, I got to make money. You know, I mean, yeah, we got to be on the same, we got to play on the same field as everybody else. We can't be way more expensive than everybody else, and still expect to get the job. We have to be competitive, but at the end of the day, that's we have to make money so we can take care of our people. And if we're not going to make any money, then there's no reason for us to do the job.
Sounds like you have a strong set of principles. Like you're a pretty principled guy, which is, it would, you know, seems more and more rare these days, right? That people have principles and they'll stand by them. So I think it's amazing. And I love the fact that you've got that right there on the website. So let's talk a little bit about extreme ownership, right? And when it actually clicked. You've said on other podcasts that you've been on that Echelon Front has had a huge impact on Degan. You sat down with Leif Babin on his show, This Stuff Works. I know a lot of our audience, I hope, has read the book, if they have not. But fewer people have actually installed it into a crew, into a job, into their company. So when we talk about extreme ownership, what was the moment that went from a concept you liked to a technical change in how you ran jobs? And would also love to hear about where you feel you fall short.
Yeah, so I about 10 years in, maybe even a little less, when we started to have, you know, we got through the recession and we started to make money and things started to go well. I didn't know how to, I'd created a very flat organization. I didn't know how to lead. I didn't know how to lead our people. I'd worked at a big corporate company, but not as a leader of an organization. And I didn't really start in a construction company where I grew up with mentors and people to look up to that would guide me. Once we started to actually make money, then we started having lots of problems. We started having lots of problems with people, with egos, with, you know, I started the company because I hated bureaucracy. The company that we had all worked for had this bureaucracy of, you know, all these rules, and I was like, I don't like SOPs, I don't like org charts, and all that stuff started to come back and bite me in the butt when we started growing, and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, well, I've always thought about going back and getting an MBA, getting a master's degree. I was like, maybe now's a good time. Maybe I can find the answers there. I went back to school, got my MBA, and one of my close classmates that I went to school with was an ex-Navy SEAL, and he brought extreme ownership to all of our group projects. And that was my introduction to the book Extreme Ownership, to the concepts. And it was then when I was like, this is kind of what I've been looking for, is this leadership model. This fits who I am already, who I want to be, the principles that I believe in. It fits with my leadership model that I want to have. I don't have the tools yet. I don't know how to do it, but it really clicks. And then I went to one of the echelon front FTXs that Cody Gandy runs right after COVID, and it was during that training when it hit me, and I was like, I want all my people to know this. I want all my people to understand this. This is the answer for that'll help us be able to get the stability, the safety, the direction that we need is by implementing this leadership model throughout our company. And I signed Echelon Front up to come and do a FTX for us here in Phoenix right after I had that experience. And so that was kind of, you know, that moment when you know, it clicked when I was like, this is the answer. This is what I need to do. The kind of hit across the head with the 2x4 was when, you know, I'd kind of gone back to school to figure out how to fix my people. You know, I needed to be a better leader so I could learn how to fix my people and the problems that they were creating. And the concept of extreme ownership is every problem you have is your fault. And the only way it's gonna change is if you change and if you take ownership of it. And all of a sudden, like I was like, I'm the problem here. I'm the biggest problem that Degan Construction has. And until I change and I learn how to be a better leader, nobody else is going to change. I have to change. I have to become a better leader. I have to take ownership of the behaviors that I'm seeing that I don't like in my team. And that was when I was like, I'm taking ownership. And then I started taking ownership and it started working. And so I was like, all right, this stuff works. This is what we're going to do. As far as the areas that I'm lacking, I still have a long ways to go. I think any of the principles, you know, you go to the 4 laws of combat, you know, I still don't do as good a job as I need to do at building strategic relationships. You know, I can get out there and build better relationships with key players in the market, with customers. I need to get out there better and build better relationships. I can create better alignment by expressing expectations clearer, by helping set roles clearer, by communicating in a much simpler way. On prioritize and execute, I still struggle to detach sometimes. My ego still gets the best of me. I still want to see things from my perspective and not understand what other people's perspective is, and I still make decisions that aren't always the best ones. And I'm still learning how to detach a little bit better. And the biggest one that I struggle with the most is the 4th law of combat of decentralized command. I still have a hard time letting go control. I want to empower others, but I still want things done my way. And it's really hard. It's really hard to have that. So there's still a lot of growth that needs to happen as far as really adopting all the principles and getting them to work, you know, the best way possible. But I feel like I'm on the path. My team's on the path. We're trying to improve them, and we've made huge improvements over the years.
Do you? All right. One quick question. So your team is also going to like the FTXs, like they're also working with Echelon Front, like doing that kind of stuff to develop themselves in that capacity as well.
Yeah, so it's something that's implemented throughout our whole company. I actually run, I've, through EOS, we've learned that we each need to do those things that we each have our role, and what are those things that each role is responsible for? I'm the visionary. I'm responsible for the vision and where we're going, and one of the things that I do that consumes a lot of my time is leadership development for our team. And we do leadership training once a week, where we're talking about echelon front principles. We've adapted them to our own. We've taken ownership of it and said, well, these are our Degan principles. Now these are our mindsets for victory. This is what we believe in. This is what good leadership looks like. Completely aligned with echelon front, but we're on our 5th year now of just doing weekly meetings, training, and really trying to get our whole team on board with these leadership principles. Every problem we have is a leadership problem, and as we become better leaders, we're able to solve our problems better.
No bad teams, only bad leaders, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was just listening to that chapter this morning, actually. That's funny.
Great fun.
I'm curious too, because when you talk about extreme ownership and like you were saying, like you had these problems, but really, or that you felt your team had these problems, but really every problem you have is yours, right? Can you, just to kind of help put it in context, do you have maybe an example you can share with us where like you took ownership of the issue and how it changed the problem or how it fixed it? I know that might be a hard one, but
yeah. So, a lot of it comes back to my own personal behavior. I'm a pretty big introvert. I don't like public speaking. I don't like even doing these kind of things. I don't like training. I don't like standing in front of people. And we had a lot of misalignment of where we're going and what are we trying to do, and what are our values, and how do we make those simple, clear, and concise? How do we get new people coming on board to understand these and be able to own them as their own? And I had to take ownership and say, well, they're not just, I'm going to have to train, and I'm going to have to teach, and I'm going to have to put myself out there, and I'm going to have to do the things that I don't actually want to do. If I could just be a project manager and do some estimating the rest of my career, like, I would be very comfortable doing that. That's the funnest part of doing construction. But that's not where I'm supposed to provide value. If I'm going to step back and say, what is it that my team needs, and what is it that I need to take ownership, and how do I need to change? What are those activities that only I can do? Then I step back and take ownership of that, and have the discipline to step forward and do it and come through with it. Then I'm going to create an environment, and I'm going to create stability for my team that they need, so that then they can get out there and win.
love it. Now, so as a introvert, I'm just curious. So you've obviously done a really good job of building trust with your clients, right? So Degan self-performed over 16,000 linear feet of 16-inch water main and sewer structures for TSMC in Phoenix. Huge project. You've held the City of Chandler's JOC since 2015 and a private water utility MSA since 2013. So as an introvert, or really anyone, like, how do you earn trust at that level, even though you don't have a big corporate logo behind you, so to speak?
You perform. You come through. You come through on your commitments. You're open and honest. You don't hide things from the customer. That's how you gain trust, right? Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you, you're not gonna lie to me. We're gonna get on the same page. We're gonna talk about hard things, and we're gonna come through with our commitments. And you know, that's one thing that contractors struggle with, right? They agree to something, and then there's always an excuse of why it can't happen. And so if we can learn how to be contractors that actually come through with our commitments and we actually do what we say we're going to do, we gain a lot of credibility just by doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, I think at every level, right? At every size. I know back when I was still doing it years ago, like it can be very hard sometimes to want to overpromise in order to get the bid, right? To get the job. You're like, oh, I got to be cheaper, or I've got to, promise I can get it done quicker, and then you run into it and you can't do it for the money you thought, or you can't do it on the timeline. And so how do you, especially on those big jobs, but really on any jobs, like how do you balance that with being able to, as say like, hey, I want the work, but I can't do it for that amount of money, and or I can't hit that timeline. Not, maybe, but probably not. Like, how do you deal with those conversations?
Well, you just got to be honest about it, and you got to be willing to walk away if you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And we've had to walk away from a lot of jobs that we really, really needed, but we knew that we weren't going to be able to, come through with what they were trying to make us agree to in the contract. And so we'll be like, all right, well then we can't do it. We're not going to do it.
Do you have to kind of, 'cause, again, I know this is something that everybody struggles with, and I don't think it's just in the trades. I think it's any business, right? Especially when you're younger in your business, those first 5 years, and you got bills and you need the money coming in, and sometimes, job opportunities are scarce. Like, is it like what is the stuff that helps people be able to do that, to be able to say like, hey, I really would love this job, but I can't hit that timeline, or I can't hit that budget? Like, is it just your ethics? Is it your, your morals? Like, what is the stuff that gives you the strength to be able to make that call?
I think it's, I think it's, I think it comes from your reputation. I think, they have to know who you are. They have to trust you. I think it's just having those relationships where you can go to them and be like, hey, I can't make that work, but this is what I can make work.
Mhm.
And I actually really do need the job. And just having that trust and having those relationships where we're willing to negotiate um and try to find a way to, agree to something that we can make work.
Yeah.
One of the things that, I mean, to get off the ground in a time when there was no work, you know, we agreed to do anything that there was. I mean, we did all kinds of different scopes of work to take care of our customers, and we'd go to them or would be observant and say, look, this actually needs to get done. Do you have somebody to do that? We'll do it. We'll take care of it. We'll handle it. One of our values is to over deliver. And so we're always looking at like, where can we over deliver? Where can we spend 15 minutes, help clean up the job site? We'll clean up somebody else's mess, not even our mess. How much does that really cost us? But then that job site superintendent, how much does he really appreciate that when he would have had to do it himself? And then he really wants us on his next job, and he's willing to put his neck out on the line to help us get in and get that next job with him. And I think those types of relationships and those, us not being greedy, us being willing to give a little bit, go the extra mile for our customers, at the end of the day, goes a long ways. There's times when we've bid jobs and we've really screwed up and we've lost. There's multiple times where we've lost over $1 million on a job, but that was our agreement, and we're gonna eat it, and we're gonna move on, and we'll have to make it up later. And our reputation is more important than us screwing it up.
What's the saying about reputation? It takes a lifetime to build and just a moment to screw it up, right?
Right.
You know, I'm hearing this pattern of relationships. Relationships sound pretty important, Denver.
They are. They're paramount.
Paramount. So, well, speaking of relationships, let's talk about family business, leadership. So your brother Blaine is on the team, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Along with a deep bench, you've got TJ Patterson, Brenda Townley, crew leaders who've been with you for years. You're celebrating 18 years, which is obviously a great milestone. You know, longevity, sustainability in business are always a concern. I'm curious about, like, what's one rule that keeps the family dynamic healthy inside the business, and what are you doing today to develop non-family leaders who think like owners for the next 18 years?
I think it's treating everybody fairly, not having favorites, not letting nepotism be part of our culture or our company.
Mhm.
We're still you know, everybody has to perform. Just because you've been here for 15 years doesn't mean that you can slack off and that we're going to just tolerate poor performance. And so I think having that culture, developing that culture, and not letting people just be here and slack off and not really provide value. I think that creates a culture where you know, we trust each other. People feel empowered. People, yeah, I'm the owner of the company, but I feel like the consensus around the company is this is our company. You know, we're all kind of owners here because this is our future and this is the stability for us and our family and this is the legacy that we're building.
Give
And
everybody-
that comes back to what's my behavior around all of this, right? Am I going around saying, "Hey, well, I'm the boss. You got to do what I say." You know, if that was my behavior, then it would pull everybody back, and I would lose all that leadership capital, and there would be a way different environment around here.
is there like the situation where you bring on a new team member and they're not taking ownership in that fashion? Like, how do you deal with that situation?
I think it's being really clear by establishing the expectations. You know, just setting the expectations, and when the expectations aren't getting met, then having those conversations as soon as possible. And we've done it the wrong way a lot of times. So we've we've had to learn. We've had to learn, and we've failed a lot of really good people that we didn't set the expectations clearly up front, and they got so far off the rails that we couldn't get them back on the rails. And I've, you know, got a lot of friends that used to work for me, and they're still my friends that don't work here anymore because we failed just because of that, because they didn't adopt the right culture, they didn't adopt the right mentality, they didn't meet the expectations because I didn't do a good job at setting the expectations clearly up front.
It's interesting. Just thinking about team members over the years, and same thing, right? Like when they're failing, are they failing or am I failing? And sounds like extreme ownership. If they're failing, it's my fault, right?
No bad teams, only bad leaders.
Yeah. That's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to jump over to the YouTube exclusive portion. For those of you who are just getting used to this, we were doing our Patreon side of things before, but we really hate putting content behind a firewall. So we're back to giving it away for free. And what that means is if you are on YouTube, you don't need to do anything. Stay right where you are. We're going to continue with the show. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or Rumble, what that means is you got to jump on over to our YouTube channel to hear the next couple of questions. Please make sure you like, subscribe, do all those fun things. And Denver, before we jump over to the next portion here, if people want to learn more about you and they're listening down Spotify or Apple, where do they find you guys?
Well, we're in Phoenix. Our website is deganconstruction.com. Don't really have much of a social media presence. We don't do a great job at marketing. But they can get on our website. They can email. Our emails are on the website. Email us.
Cool.
If we can help anybody with anything, reach out.
Awesome. Well, and I'll say you may feel like you're not doing a great job with marketing, but your website's beautiful and you're doing pretty well business wise. It seems like without any marketing. So you know what they say: if what you're doing is working, keep doing it. Right. All right. Couple more questions, Denver. We'll let you off the hook here. The adapt or die playbook. Adapt or die is one of your 6 core values. Can you give us a specific example, a market shift, client loss, failed project, where Degan had to adapt fast and the exact system or process change that came out of it?
I think there's a lot of small things. We have a we have a safety incident and then we adapt quickly. We don't ever want this to happen again, and those types of things trigger the need to adapt. I think probably one of the biggest things and specifically for me was recognizing the need to create leaders throughout the whole company. And my philosophy is that the company that creates the most leaders at the end of the day wins. Mm-hmm. So we have made a huge effort to promote leadership, to create leadership, to teach leadership, to empower our junior leaders, to be able to carry part of the load, part of the burden of leadership for the company. And I think that's a big part for us, a big change for us that has provided a lot of fruit so far for us. But I think any of us are looking into the future and what's the future going to look like in a year, 2 years, 3 years. All we know is it's going to be different than it is right now. and our ability to be able to innovate and adapt and you guys started the podcast talking about AI. That's a huge one. That's a huge one. How are we going to make sure that we're using these tools the best way possible? And we're trying to play that game too. I don't have any good things to talk about yet about AI, but our futures are very, very different from where we're at right now, and our ability to accept change and is the key to being able to survive.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Denver, one question that I have, and I just had this conversation with 2 of our leaders today, so it's fresh in my mind. But when you brought that concept of everybody learning leadership principles to your field technicians, how did you get that to them, and how did they respond to it?
This new generation coming up is they're like sponges. I mean, they want to be poured into, and they're very interested in leadership. They're very interested in being successful and winning. And the old school construction of, hey, you just got to put in your time and you got to do on the job learning, and you got to just put in your time. That doesn't resonate with this next generation. They're hungrier than that, and they want more than that. And so we've had a great response from the young people of wanting to be leaders, to learn leadership, to learn discipline, to learn how to communicate more clearly, to be able to create a bright future for themselves and their families. And we've the leadership stuff that I'm doing right now is voluntary. It's not mandatory that everybody comes. It's voluntary. I do classes in Spanish one Thursday, and then I do the same class again in English the next Thursday, and we get about 50 people coming out each class, which is a little under half of the company that's actually taking advantage of it. But it's just small steps. It's small steps. It takes a lot of time, and it's just small steps at a time. And those people who want it are participating and learning and growing.
It's interesting to hear you put it that way, because the common misconception is that the younger generation doesn't necessarily want to grow or work or learn, but you've kind of flipped that on its head and give them the opportunity, and they've taken to it. Very interesting.
They're our future.
Yeah.
And you talk about small steps. Like, how did you get with the training, the leadership training that you're doing now? Like, how did you put that into practice, or how did you get started with that? Was it just like, hey guys, I'm going to start doing this. If you want to show up, and you get a couple people in the beginning and then it grows, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so we just finished our 4th year of having it roll, where we've done a curriculum and we've done it consistently. And each year we iterate significantly from one year to the next, trying to be more effective and do a better job. The first couple of years was more just the leadership, project managers, superintendents, and yeah, they were understanding the concepts and learning the concepts and changing a little bit, but it wasn't really getting down to the frontline guys at all, and then we just slowly started opening it up, and then this last iteration, I've just decentralized it, where I'm actually teaching table group leaders before our meeting. I'm doing a 2-hour training with table group leaders, and then for our meeting, they're split up into tables of 5 to 6 people with a table group leader, and it's actually the table group leader leading the discussion, and they're doing the training, not me. All I'm doing is observing at that point, and that's our iteration that we just finished up now, to where I've been able to decentralize that to let other people do the training, and I'm observing, and then this next round, our 5th year, we'll do a different iteration. We're still brainstorming on that and trying to figure it out.
Oh, that's cool. Deborah, one more question for you, and then we'll, we want to respect your time here. Curious about, first of all, I think it's amazing that you're running this company and then doing your MBA at night, right? Because that's a lot of work and a lot of dedication, to your earlier point about the why. For a trades owner that's weighing whether to go back to school or not, while running their company, I'm curious, what did you actually bring back that moved a number on your P&L or changed how you run the company? Was there a noticeable change from going back and getting the MBA? Or, I don't want to say waste of time, because I don't think education ever is a waste of time, but was there a difference made from going to school?
Yeah. Yeah. So, obviously I learned a lot and it was very valuable. I did an executive MBA where we spent every other Friday and Saturday all day long in class. And then we did like group projects, during the time that we weren't in class. It was very demanding. It was very demanding of, time for 2 years. Uh, uh, I was able to come back and the classes that we were taking, we're taking an accounting class and I'm sitting down with my controller and we're like going through and I'm like, let's do this and this. Let's look at our overhead this way this time. Let's, and there's a lot of things that came out where, every week I was sitting down with my team and we were, talking about a lot of the stuff that I was that I was learning and it was, it was super valuable for the team. But if I had to step back and say what was the most valuable thing, I think it was an indirect effect of me doing my MBA was I had to step out of the company significantly and empower other people to do a lot of the stuff that I was doing before. And um, Brock Stortini is my COO, and he stepped into that COO position back then when I was going to school, and built relationships, and took things to a place that I didn't even have on my radar. And he was able to help us continue to grow and do a better job at building some strategic relationships with some customers that really helped us in a big way, that probably wouldn't have happened if I was still trying to control everything. And so that indirect effect of me needing to step away a little bit and actually empower and trust some of my junior leaders to step up and fill that void was super valuable for us. And then it was going through school that I found the extreme ownership and ran into that and then that's really what's made the biggest difference in our culture and in our success.
Yeah. So both direct and indirect benefits.
Yeah. The negatives, if I had any regrets, I think it was the sacrifice. I got five kids, and my family, sacrificed a lot for me to be not present for a long time. And those were key years for my older kids that are now moved out of the house of, events, activities, me being a bigger part of their lives. It was just a huge sacrifice where, if I had to do it over again, I'd step back and really evaluate, is it really worth giving that up at the end of the day?
Yeah. Denver, I can't say thank you enough for coming on the show today, man. This is great.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Discussion. Yeah.
I hope, I know as an introvert, I hope it was a little bit of fun for you, but
You could have fooled us.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Really appreciate you coming on and talking to our listeners and kind of letting them see under the hood or behind the curtain a little bit for what you guys are doing. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Appreciate what you guys do, promoting leadership, promoting, good values in contractors and business owners, and wish you guys luck in all your endeavors.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. And of course, thanks everybody for listening. You can find us our website, bluecollarstartup.io, or you can watch, listen, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple. Make sure to like, subscribe, give us a glowing review, please, everybody. I think those help in some way, shape, or form. If anything, just tells us that we have fans. Thanks everybody for listening. And one more time, thanks, Denver. Appreciate it, man.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, 5 Towers Media, Degan Cleaning Systems, Degan Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peopleese, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible. And thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.